The opinions expressed by the host and guests in this show are not necessarily the views of Children's Health Defense.
Good morning, CHD. Welcome to Pediatric Perspectives. We are looking at children's health challenges from a different perspective, one that includes critical thinking, and we're not afraid to give you the honest truth. Back today to join me today is Dr. Larry Palevsky, and I just thought we could have some fun, Larry. There's things going on in our country. RFK Jr. is now head of HHS, and recently he made a move that I was delighted to read. He fired all 17 members of ACIP. You and I have been aware of vaccine risks, unlike many of our peers. And I've personally, I imagine you feel similar, been horrified by things that they just rubber stamp and add to the childhood immunization schedule. And then pediatricians across the country, without any apparent thought or analysis, just start implementing what the CDC is recommending. And the most horrendous example of that was COVID. I mean, when they added the COVID jab for 6-month-olds and up, I mean, there are lots of bad ones on the schedule, but that was like, you've got to be kidding me. So anyway, I wanted your input and your thoughts about that particular move, what it could mean, and I'm sure you have some thoughts.
Yes. So I just want to say congratulations to RFK Jr. for his courage and his conviction to remove conflicts of interest in our regulatory agencies to the best of his ability. And for many decades, members of the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, ACIP, have had conflicts of interest. They have been paid by pharmaceutical industry, and they've been earning money on their recommendations, as well as supposed to be neutral in making decisions about the safety and the validity of the science around vaccinations. And if for those of us who have been privy to watching some of their proceedings, you use the right word, Paul, rubber stamping. There is no real scientific discussion. There's just a lot of yes men and yes women. They will tell you right away that they don't have answers to certain important scientific questions. And instead of really addressing it and stepping back and saying, well, wait a second, we need the answers to these questions before we approve these vaccines, they have just gone ahead and approved the vaccines anyway. And so RFK Jr. did something that was so much needed in the hope that those who do come on the committee going forward have no conflict of interest. And what I found interesting was the comment by the American Academy of Pediatrics. I don't have it by heart, but she basically sounded as if life was over because these 17 members are not going to be on the committee. As if, Paul, there are no other qualified members of the scientific and medical community who could weigh in with good scientific method to make these important decisions. It was really as if life as we know it is over and good vaccine decision-making is no longer possible because he fired these 17 people. No, I think change is good. And I think, if anything, the American Academy of Pediatrics is running scared because they know that the veil is being lifted for all of the conflicts of interest, the junk science, the changing of data, the poor scientific studies that have been used as good science to support vaccine safety. I mean, you and I both know that no two vaccines together have ever been proven to be safe to be given together on the schedule. They have even said this in ACIP meetings. And despite knowing that no vaccine has ever been tested to be given with another, their comments are, we still advise giving it anyway, without the basis of any science. And if you've watched any of these meetings, there's no conflict spoken. Nobody speaks up. Nobody has, drag out fights. Nobody's really challenging anything that's being said. And that's no longer science. That's dogma.
Yeah.
And good for RFK Jr. for being courageous enough and diligent enough and convicted enough to say, we've got to clean up our regulatory agencies.
Right.
And he has found so far 8 people. I only know 2 of the 8 members, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing who else he chooses.
Prior to that move, he had made the statement that going forward, the CDC would not put new vaccines on the childhood schedule that did not include a proper saline placebo-controlled trial. After making that declaration, ACIP went ahead and approved the meningococcal vaccine for infants. I mean, they were pushing his hand. They work for him, and yet they're ignoring his call for real science. It was absolutely long overdue that these company men who are basically just marketers for pharma, they needed to go. We need to get true scientists who have ethics, who don't have conflicts of interest, as you pointed out. I am excited to see what's going to happen. I mean, I really think they need to go over the entire schedule one by one and relook at everything that's being recommended. And we have to start from scratch. That's going to be scary for some people who are, a part of what I would call the vaccine religion, this belief in vaccines without really looking at proper science. It's insane. And yet, remember during COVID, follow the science. I'm like, what science are you following? We're not anti-science. We just want good science.
Yeah, I mean, Paul, how the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices could approve vaccines that didn't have a proper placebo, that used other vaccines as a placebo, that used 1 or 2 of the chemicals in the vaccine as a placebo, and said, okay. I mean, it was obvious to those of us who actually do and understand the scientific method that they weren't following it, and that they were just doing the bidding of the pharmaceutical industry. How many? I mean, there was one woman who was recently fired from ACIP who just took a job with, I think, Sanofi Pasteur. She just was hired by them. And that's usually the case. And I'm not sure if everyone knows this, but there's a revolving door of insurance company, regulatory body, pharmaceutical industry. I mean, they're just revolving back and forth. And Bobby's known this for decades, and he finally got a chance to do something about it. And I want to make another comment about what RFK Jr. is doing. I mean, I don't know if the public is aware of how deep the deep state has infiltrated our United States government and all agencies. I don't think they're aware of how much there have been traders who have gotten positions in our government or in our corporation, whichever one you want, who are working against good science and morals and ethics. And so the fact that Bobby was finally able to do this, to me, speaks to a turning point. And again, I don't know how much has been cleaned out, and I don't know how much he's still up against, but I do believe he's still up against a great beast inside the regulatory agencies and inside government. But this is a turning point, Paul. He has managed to clean house, which he promised he would do, and barely over a little bit over 100 days in office. I mean, he's been in office since February 13th. And so I want to give praise. We'll see how this manifests. We'll see what kind of meetings there are. We'll see what kind of recommendations there are. The meeting happened on June 25th, and we'll get to see what kind of recommendations are made, whether some prior recommendations are reversed. I certainly would love to see some of the recommendations reversed, because I think that hepatitis B vaccine should not be on the pediatric schedule. When I hear a pediatrician argue, well, what if a 3-year-old is on the playground and bites you? That will prevent your child from getting a hepatitis B infection. And I'm like, okay, well, where in the history books, where in the literature have we seen an epidemic of hepatitis B infections from children who bite each other anywhere on the playground, in play groups? Where?
It's
so
non-existent.
It's non-existent. So
theoretical garbage.
Correct. And so really would love to see some, stopping of some of the recommendations, because every year, there's just another
They
one.
just add. They always add. They don't remove.
And I'd love to see some real critical science to say, you know what, we need to remove this from the schedule. And I'm hoping that the hepatitis B vaccine is the first one.
Yeah, I would put COVID as the first one. It needs to go away completely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then after that, I'm absolutely with you. The hepatitis B vaccine is all harm, no benefit for little kids. The only person who potentially would have some tiny benefit would be if you actually have Hep B, or your birth mother is giving birth while she has active Hep B, maybe. But that's so rare. It's 1 in a million, probably. It's just ridiculous.
More than that.
Yeah.
And I think the reason I didn't mention the COVID shot at first, because to me, it's not a vaccine. So I was really thinking of the vaccine schedule.
But it's on the schedule as if it were a vaccine.
Yeah, it's not a vaccine.
Yeah, no, that absolutely needs to go. Yeah, I knew somebody who was a really good friend and a colleague in the community I was in the late 1990s, who went to the NIH. He was a brilliant man. And it was right when I was waking up to the fact that autism might be related to stuff we're doing. We call it iatrogenic, when something we're doing is part of the problem. And I was really worried about vaccines already at that point, the mercury, the aluminum, and all of that. So I said, when you get there to the NIH, can you look into this? He goes, Paul, I have to be honest with you. I'm probably not going to be able to, but I think you're on the right track. That's all he could tell me. He was the only developmental pediatrician in Portland at the time. So there are good people in the NIH and at the CDC, but the ACIP committee was the hub central of pharma dominated, influenced, conflicted. So it's good to have them go. I'm hoping they can continue to clean house and get ethical science back on its feet.
Amen, Paul. I mean, this is a great start. Again, for those of us who are aware of the landscape, I'm still cautious. I'm optimistic, but I'm still cautious, because this is a war. The pharmaceutical industry has had its tentacles deeply embedded in almost all aspects of medicine, medical education, and policy. And so, I know Bobby wants to also get rid of direct-to-consumer advertising. So we'll see if that's something that he can implement. But this is a big step. Remember something, though. As a consumer, please do not rely on someone outside of you in any position of authority to determine what's true for you. So if you think Bobby's not working fast enough, great. Keep doing what you're doing on the ground, learning the dangers of vaccines, the lack of scientific integrity in the production, in the manufacturing, and the sales of vaccines. Know what's right for you and share that information with people locally. We know, those of us who've been doing it for as long as we have, we know that the science has been corrupted. Bobby knows that the science has been corrupted. We can make more effective change faster than he can. Let's not rely on those in a position of authority. Let's be grateful. Let's salute him. Let's be very happy about it. But let's not let that stop us from continuing to be diligent and critical in our thinking of the dangers of the shots and the dangers of the schedule. Paul, we just saw in April of 2025, twins, I think they were both boys, who died after 3 vaccines. They were 18-month-olds. The pediatrician gave those kids the flu shot in April, in the spring.
Right at the end of the flu season.
Yeah, and hepatitis A, which is not a transmitted disease, it's not one that would be passed from one person to the other. Flu shot, hepatitis A, and I don't remember what the other one was. It might have been a DTaP.
Probably.
And both kids died. And we ignore in the general public that the vaccines had anything to do with it. I mean, come on, guys.
Yeah, no, you and I know very well. Vaccines are killing kids. We had our earlier episode where we talked about SIDS and how so much of that is vaccine related. Yeah, folks, I agree completely that the entire system, from medical journals to medical schools to the media, our public health officials, they're all owned in some regards. They're all conflicted with how much pharma has infiltrated and propped up lack of science, really. Junk science, tobacco science, no science, do as we say. I agree completely. If you're watching and you have a child or you're going to have a child, you're in charge. Do not let anybody talk you into a vaccine or doing any procedure on your child without really having a deep understanding. And if you're watching Pediatric Perspectives, you're getting some information here. There are so many other great resources. The Defender is an online journal that CHD puts out. Fantastic resource. You can go to the little hourglass and search any topic relating to health or vaccines, and you will get references and an incredible amount of information.
Correct. And Paul, to the listeners, also be aware of what your state legislature is doing in each of your states. I mean, there are senators and assemblymen and women who are trying to pass draconian measures that would allow schools and pediatricians to inject vaccines, to treat them with medications, to do other medical procedures without the consent of the parents and without having to tell the parents of what's going on. And standforhealthfreedom.com is a great resource for you to understand, nvic.org, a great resource for you to understand what is going on in your state. Let's not just look federally, let's look locally and statewide and regionally, because it's not just what's happening at the federal level. We really have to do things at the ground level to affect the change that we want to see.
Yeah. And we have the power, we the people, but in your own family, you have the power. It is up to you absolutely to be in charge of mitigating the risks that might be posed to your children by a system that's still got a long way to go. And we're on the right path with RFK, but we've got a lot of work to do.
Paul, it's interesting to watch the American Medical Association respond to RFK's firing, to watch the media, to watch the American Academy of Pediatrics, the American Academy of Family Practitioners, even ACOG, their response to the changes in the recommendations for the mRNA murder weapon that they're giving out into the world. What's interesting is the fear that's happening in the communities, because what will these doctors do if they're not giving vaccines anymore, or if there's enough evidence to show that we have been making recommendations that are not grounded in science, that are more grounded in special interests, that are more grounded in junk science? What is the physician supposed to do in practice if there are changes in the recommendations? Because as having been in practice for so many years, you do what the CDC recommends. And
Used to.
Right. Oh, you did. What are they going to do if the
Well,
recommendations
I
change?
hope they will embrace the new information and the learning curve, right? So you went ahead of me on your learning curve. I mean, we got a great lesson on herbal treatment of pertussis last episode together, which if you missed it, go back and watch that. But medicine for me, pediatrics got exciting when I started waking up to the fact that, oh my goodness, we are harming kids. We don't need to. And when we support their natural immune system, when we really focus on ownership of our own health, yes, it's exciting. Will we still have to treat some infections? Sure. Far fewer, by the way. The unvaxxed are rarely sick. And when they are sick, they get better quicker. That's what the data shows. But yeah, we won't be out of business. Pediatricians, don't worry. You can actually now pivot and start educating on health, wellness, nutrition. Even though we didn't get much nutritional education in medical school, we're smart people. We can crash course this and start learning really quickly, and we can learn from our patients.
Well, sure. I mean, Paul, I have been fortunate enough to be able to practice Western medicine without using much in the way of pharmaceutical or vaccines for over 25 years. And, you know, I have not had any kids in my office die, and I have not seen massive complications or even minor complications from avoiding the use of pharmaceuticals or vaccines. And I think there's a niche for us as medical doctors to be able to start using an understanding of diet, nutrition, lifestyle, environment. I don't know that people are even aware that most of the childhood illnesses are related to some kind of poisoning that's occurred in the environment, whether it be food, water, air pollution, metals, pesticides, whatever they're geoengineering down from the sky. These are all chemicals. And, you know, if you go back to the episode we did on pertussis, you know, the bacterium don't secrete toxin unless they're triggered to secrete toxin. And those toxins are secreted in response to environmental poisoning. And so and when I investigated some of the communities where there were outbreaks of pertussis, I was informed that they were spraying for mosquitoes or spraying for herbicides or pesticides. So there was a temporal relationship between exposure to toxicity and the expression of these infectious illnesses. So don't be fooled. I mean, these diseases that we see can be quieted if we reduce our exposure to poisons and really honor the health of the body and what makes the body stay well. I mean, we don't talk much about health, Paul. All we talk about is disease and how to treat disease. But, you know, we can talk about health and actually help kids not have to experience serious outcomes of what we call infectious illness.
Yeah. Thank you for highlighting that aspect, the toxin aspect. When I'm working with any child who has a chronic any condition, number one is we've got to stop putting toxins in the body. Number one source, in my opinion, is the injected vaccines with all the toxins they contain. But if you're drinking plain old tap water, if you're eating regular junk food or just non-organic food, you are loading up your child with toxins. And then there's EMF, and you went on, you know, with your list. We've got to protect our kids, and the toxic load now is so great. Our kids are being born toxic, even if you were a diligent mom, right? I mean, the studies show, body burden studies show, every mom has toxicity to some extent or another that's passed on to that newborn. So that's number one, absolutely. And I still believe, I want to see if you believe the same, that you can have a really healthy, vibrant kid, even in our toxic world today, if you're just vigilant, pay attention, and do some things to minimize toxicity.
Yeah, I see it in my practice every single day. I see vibrant, healthy, strong kids. Now, because I've been in practice long enough, I'm seeing kids go to college and graduate college. So they are pretty strong, Paul. And, you know, we also want to encourage parents to understand that the onset of an illness doesn't necessarily mean your kid is weak. The onset of an illness means that your kid is strong, that your kid is able to react to a poisoning or a toxicity or wrong foods and say, get this crap out of me. I don't want it inside. And I think it's time to reshape the thinking that, acute illness in children is not necessarily a bad thing. It's actually a sign of strength. And, whether or not RFK gets to do that in his term and talking about how to reverse chronic illness, I don't know if he will, but that doesn't stop us from trying to encourage parents to recognize that acute illness is rarely infection. It's almost always an opportunity for the child to clean out. And when we were kids, parents understood that. All right, get into bed, get under the covers.
Here's your cod liver oil.
Right. Turn out the lights, put your pajamas on. I'll run the bath. I'll put the tea kettle on. Here's the TV, just lie in bed. And we just slept it off and we sweated it out. And, there wasn't much in the way of medications back then. And we did great.
Yeah. And I would add to that, those of you who have children with chronic conditions, some of them severe, that's a long-term process that got you to that point. And that's a child who needs help in detoxing, who really needs help in nutritional support. And the little things do matter. I used to always shake my head when I was going to some of the autism conferences and learning about all the different things parents were doing. I'm going, this is ridiculous. It's too much. But you know what? When your kid is that compromised, chronically poisoned, if you will, yes, you've got to be careful with it. 1 + 1, and when it comes to toxicities and poisons, could equal 10.
One of my favorite things to observe in working with children with chronic illnesses, when we start unraveling their bodies and changing their diets and adding some supplements and opening them up, they get sick. They'll get flu-like illnesses. And I warn the parents ahead of time, Paul. I'll tell them, expect that your child will be sick. And if that happens, I will be very happy, because that means that the sinews are opening up and that the body is finally able to release all the junk. Because remember, acute illness is the removal of waste, toxins, impurities, and inflammation. Yeah. Chronic illness is the retention of waste, toxins, impurities, and inflammation. And vaccines increase waste, toxins, impurities, and inflammation. And has never been studied to actually identify whether those waste, toxins, impurities, and inflammation leave the body after vaccination. And so we as clinicians really need to be aware of what creates inflammation in the body, and don't lose sight. Shots are meant to cause inflammation. And if we stop putting shots in, we may actually cut the amount of inflammation that continues to cycle.
Without a doubt. Yeah, without a doubt. Well, in wrapping it up, I want to make this observation. Larry and I are pediatricians. We care about kids. We're not politicians. And honestly, I think it's sad that everything gets politicized and it's all, Republican, Democrat, war. We're all here for kids. And I can tell you, having looked RFK in the eye, having hugged the man more than once, he cares about our kids. I honestly don't think he cares about the parties. I mean, he cares about freedom, and he wanted to find a way to make a difference for our kids. But let's get away from partisan politics and just focus on common sense, good science. And we're on the right path. Thank you, RFK Jr. I hope you continue to prevail in this journey of bringing us to some common sense in some of our agencies.
Amen to that, Paul. Well said. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. I look forward to seeing you again. I'm Dr. Paul. Thanks for watching. VaxFactsBook.com is where you can get informed consent from our latest book. I look forward to seeing you next week.
Right, people, listen up. This is a very important story. It's what we've all been thinking, but no one's actually been saying it. But we are not afraid, and we say the truth, and we report the truth. That's our job and our duty. So, welcome.
Thank you.
And can you tell everyone your name?
Kelly Miller.
Now, your family is generations of unvaccinated, is that right?
Correct. That is true.
So how far back do we go? So you guys aren't vaccinated?
I'm not vaccinated. My children, who are now 30 and 29, are not vaccinated. And we now have 3 and almost 4 babies in the family that are not vaccinated.
And what about before you, your mother?
My mother was she may have been vaccinated. I believe she was. She did not learn about this industry, what was going on, until the late 60s. So I was 5 years old when she got into the natural foods industry and started to learn about what was going on in the vaccine world. So that's why I believe she may have been. And I'm sorry, I don't know that for sure, but that's why she didn't vaccinate us.
Okay, so we were talking about the fact that there's a few generations of families have no vaccines whatsoever, and we have no cancer.
Correct. No cancer. I wouldn't even imagine that we'll get cancer. I believe it has a lot to do with what you put into your body. I believe that also could be proven if we would take the time to do the research on this, but no cancer, and I have full faith that we won't as well.
And this is the thing, I think, that actually is freaking the other side out more than anything else, is if we uncover something as simple as unvaccinated people don't get cancer like the vaccinated people, then oh my gosh, the other side are in such big trouble, because they haven't only just damaged generations and generations of our children and killed them, we go into the cancer scene.
Absolutely.
And it's game over. Pharmaceutical companies, you gotta step down.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. I think that's why the word has to get out there. It's not only cancer,
and it's something that we have to talk about, and people are frightened because they say that doctors are getting bumped off and stuff. Whatever, we cannot be afraid. We have to talk about it. And there's no denying that the vaccine families, cancer everywhere, they've been vaccinated, and we're not seeing it yet, and we may well do. We may have families on here that come on and tell us we are not seeing cancer in the unvaccinated families. Not yet.
No, so you haven't seen it in others as well. Oh, and
gotta be said, that and ear infections.
Right. And how
it
about
can't be a coincidence.
Okay. The biggest thing I see in my world is the autoimmune that's going on, and I think and that, as far as I'm concerned, that's related to cancer, but the gut issues and the
we got to explain why you're saying that, because people don't know what you're talking about. You own health food shops.
Correct. I own health food shops, so I do see.
So you see people coming in with problems, is what she's talking about. She's not talking about her family. She's talking about clients, people that come in to buy from her health food shop, and issues that you see around. Yes.
Correct.
Okay, let's hear them. Let's hear what you're saying.
And I just want to put out there that in the last 20 years, the big difference that we've seen in cancer, in autoimmune, and in gut issues, it has manifested itself as the vaccine reports have gone up and up, that families have to get more and more. And those around me that are not vaccinated, I do not see any of these issues for any of them.
Right.
Including things like even minor things such as ear infections and sleep problems and allergies, etc.
High-pitched screams and autism.
Yes.
Okay, we are hearing of a few. Obviously, we are hearing. We're not saying that all autism is caused by vaccines and everything is. We're just saying, let's just listen to the parents and see what we see. You're listening to the parents as they come into your shops. We're listening to them here, and here's what we're finding out. We're finding out that the vaccinated are extremely sick and they have cancer.
Right, exactly. Yes. And we're just a family that wants to get the word out there that we are healthy, and we want to, at least for people to think about what they're doing ahead of time and get the facts so that they can see that their kids can and will be healthy if they did not get vaccinated.
Now, what about, do your children go to school? Did they go to school?
Yes, they went to school.
And were you, because actually they're kind of much old, they're in between my age and, they're a news age.
Right.
So now,
I will talk about that a
Yeah.
bit.
What kind of aggravation did they get? Because obviously their schedule isn't like the ones that the poor children are put through now.
Right. As far as aggravation is concerned, we did hear it from school nurses that my kids will never get into college. I did hear that a few times, and I knew even way back then that was just crazy that you could even try to say that to me, and I never let them push me. But then my kids went to major university. They went to Pitt. They got their masters at Pitt. Both of them did.
So they're actually clever as well.
Yes, they're actually very smart.
Because we were told that they're not very clever, unvaccinated kids.
So we have clever unvaccinated kids,
Oh,
indeed.
you do?
Yes, and our grandchildren are also very bright and have great eye contact. And there's a lot of things you can see when children are unvaccinated. You can see the difference in how
In their
the
eyes.
mind works.
Number one
Yes,
as well.
absolutely, and in their health.
Well,
Absolutely.
we spoke to some teenage girls who said that they checked themselves out of school because they just couldn't deal with their behavioural problems in class. And they just needed to work, so they then are just like teaching themselves online.
Yeah, that's heartbreaking. You see that a lot. And
Well, it's becoming special needs schools, the public
is.
schools now.
It is. Even our own church is building a special needs section in the church. And that doesn't come from nowhere. People really need to think about what this is coming from. To me, it's obvious. I hope more people will start thinking before they vaccinate.
And it's not just, the allergies and the eczema, all these things that when people say, oh, I vaccinated my children, they're fine. And they just think that eczema, allergies, ADD, ADHD is just normal,
Right.
genetic.
Yes, and if you actually do start carrying on conversations with these people that say they're fine, there are often underlying symptoms hiding or things that they take for granted that is normal, like allergies and everything that you're mentioning, even type 2 diabetes, even gut issues, even chronic sinus infections. These are things that people think are normal, and they're not. They are manifestations of being unhealthy. So I agree, I believe that has a lot to do with it.
So you didn't vaccinate your children, and then they didn't vaccinate their children.
Right. Now they're babies still, and they've started these conversations with their doctors. Now, one of my very first grandchild had some complications in birth, and it's a long story, but I will say this: she went to a regular pediatrician, and her pediatrician said that if she would have vaccinated, we would have lost her. So
he agreed that she should not have vaccinated.
yes,
See,
absolutely.
some of these doctors are actually waking up.
Yes, we were very thrilled that we did not have to change. She did not have to change pediatricians because we expected a fight, and so far that hasn't happened. So, but
I think it's probably safer to go to. Let me just change the battery on. We Are Vaxxed, it's about to crash.
got my hearing back and it fell out.
I can't remember what we're talking about then.
Okay, about the fact that my grandchildren are also
Yeah,
unvaccinated.
I can't remember what I was talking about because I got completely sidetracked. I've only got one charger today, so I'm switching it between them all. One of you's going to go down. Obviously, not my little Periscope. That's the last to go. Just saying.
Okay.
So you got these now. What are these stores called? How many stores do you have?
We have 2 stores. They're called Health Hut stores. And one of them we are in the process of building a brand new one in Chippewa. It's a big location that we're putting in a drive-through with healthy food available for the community as well. Where we live in Beaver County, health is not a big thing. And so we have been there since 1969 with these stores and have seen a lot in the health world. And we are excited now that families are on board. You may see something different because so many families are vaccinating their kids and we see unhealthy things going on. But I would like to say that this generation wants to know the truth. They do. These young girls want to know why so many people are so unhealthy, and they want to know what's going on. They want to learn. They're just being told so many mistruths, and we just have to keep getting the truth out there to them. And so I'm glad I'm in my small community doing that.
But it must make you really sad that you I'll tell you what it must. I'm just trying to pretend I'm you for a second. That I have all these like healthy children, healthy grandchildren. my family, I don't have any problems because my kids are not vaccinated and they're all healthy. When health is everything, and my husband always used to say, you know, health is like a crown on a wellman's head, only the wellman can see it, or something like that. Well, I can't remember what it was. If John, if you're around, tell them what it is. But basically, you don't realise, because you don't need to, you've got it. It's only when you realise, you know, you live like with Billy or something like that, that you just think. But anyway, pretending that I'm you and I have this like wonderful healthy family, and then I have this health food shop and all I can see is injury after injury coming in. It must be devastating for you.
It is very devastating. It's heartbreaking. I cry often. I do. I cry often over this because we take it for granted in our family, and I don't want to be that way at all. I want to be able to really reach out and help these families before they get hurt. So yeah, it is heartbreaking.
I remember there's health is like a crown on a wellman's head, and only the sick man can see it.
Only the sick man can see it.
That's what I meant to say.
That makes sense. And one of the speakers this morning was talking about how the only way we're going to reach people is to get on their level. And I don't want to be walking around thinking that because we're healthy we're better, or because we didn't vaccinate we're better. I don't want to take it for granted. I want to be able to reach people and to just let them know.
You're not better, but I tell you what you are is you're stronger. And there's no doubt about it, is you're stronger. Your whole family is stronger because our energy, our post-traumatic stress disorder, everything that goes on when the whole injury thing does shake you down. So your family, your children, your grandchildren are going to end up, whether they like it or not, being some kind of responsible for all these injured adults, because we won't be around.
Right.
We've gone.
Yes.
Now we'll do our best to leave the world as best we can for them, but there's a lot of sick people for your grandchildren, your grandchildren's children. I don't know what that future looks like.
All right. That's very true. That's a very good point. They are going to be the healthy ones, the well ones, amongst so many that are damaged.
And it's
sick.
not over yet. They're upping the vaccine schedule. It's going to get worse before it gets better. We're going to have some national Ebola outbreak. We're going to have all these vaccines coming in for adults. That's why people have to say no. They have to say no. And I don't know what that looks like, but it is going to get worse. There'll be more deaths. And so for your grandchildren,
I hope that they will step up and that they will,
it's dark.
speak for those who can't speak for themselves, and do what you're doing. Be an advocate for people and get the word out there.
But isn't it sad that has to even be the case?
Yes, it is. It is. That's the world they live in, and I do feel for them, because I don't know what the world's going to look like for them because of what's going on.
Yeah, and all the crops and the GMO, and look what we're doing.
Yes. God is still in control, so I know it can get very depressing, and then I have to go back to that. God knows what's going on. We've lived through terrible times, and we haven't, but there have been horrible crimes to humanity in the past, and it's looked very grim.
And we got through it.
Yes, and we are resilient, and I believe that we can turn this around. Absolutely.
But this is a worldwide vaccination. This is not just happening in Europe or just Australia. It's happening around the world.
Right,
This is huge.
And I know it's bad. I refuse to.
I don't know why. I do not know why we've gone so dark.
I don't either.
What is going on,
keep
Pete?
Shining the light, and it's going to turn around.
So yeah, and we've got loads more people. And it's so hot in this bus. I can't tell you. I'm dripping. I cannot. What's the date? It's the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. 4 more days on the bus, and then I'm coming home.
Oh my! Are you traveling on this bus? You are the woman.
I'm on this bus for 4 days, and then me and Marcella are flying back down to Austin.
Okay. Wow, you.
And the boys are going to drive the bus home.
Okay. Well,
Because it's a boy thing. It's a man thing.
This would be a man thing.
All right, you are amazing. They love you.
Thank you.
And they thank you so much. And I'm so pleased that you have such a healthy family with no cancer. And guys, start thinking about that. There's a connection here. Think about it.
Yeah.
All right, I will. I'm coming
Thank
off
you
here.
so much.